What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a conversation with my friend who's a shamanic healer, Sean VanRiper. He's going to explain what's called the Mesa. It's a Peruvian shamanic tool used for divination as well as house clearings, as Sean is going to explain. And he's going to explain everything that's going on with this device, this tool. So, yeah. Welcome to the channel, man.
Thanks, Paul. Happy to be here. The Mesa is created for more specifically one-on-one healings, and the way it's built is by going through a process called the medicine wheel, Peruvian as opposed to Native American in this case, and so it takes about 2 years to complete the process. The Mesa is set up into the 4 directions: south, west, north, and east. And in each direction, as you're building the Mesa, you're doing your own healing before you go out there and do healing on anyone else. So as I mentioned, there's the 4 directions. There's also 4 archetypes associated with each one of those directions. The south being serpent, the west being jaguar, the north being hummingbird, and the east being eagle or condor. Throughout each of the directions, you're working on different things to heal yourself and attuning the stones that are used in the Mesa, which we will get into in a minute. So when someone comes to you for a personal healing, you're asking them to pick specific stones, and when they pick those stones, they're telling you a little bit about what they're working on energetically. So I feel like that's a very general synopsis of the Mesa,
right.
But we're going to get into it a little bit, and Paul's going to ask me some questions, and we'll go through it together.
Yeah, because there's a lot of components going on here. We'll show you on screen. You're probably looking at it now. I've probably already overlaid the video. But so we got the general overview done. Now let's get into the components. So the first thing I'm interested in are these round iron ingot looking things. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so those are known as mogwai stones or mogwai marbles. There's a masculine and a feminine stone. So in the balance of masculine and feminine, you will find freedom. So we all have these aspects within us, and they become imbalanced from time to time. So part of the shamanic healing requires you to balance the masculine and feminine. Also, this is a process that's done before any kind of shamanic rite or initiation is done, like for instance in the Munay, which we can talk about a little bit later.
Well, actually pick up the mogwais again.
Okay.
So, because you can show that camera too. Okay. So the masculine and feminines.
And that's a feminine.
Cool. And you were saying how it balances. We've got to achieve balance in ourselves.
Yeah. So in the balance of the masculine and feminine, you find freedom, because we all have these aspects within ourselves. If they're out of balance, then we're not living our true potential. So that's just a little backstory as far as the mogwai stones go. In the middle here you have what's called a pie stone, okay, and that's used to gift initiations as well. It represents the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, the continual healing process and the spiral that we have here in the Mesa itself.
So let's talk about the next most interesting thing, which is this array of blue kind of sculpted stones over here.
Yeah, so these stones are called chumpy stones, okay, and there's a number of points on them, okay, and these stones are often used to gift certain rites, shamanic rites, like the bands of power. Okay. These stones specifically are attuned to the goddesses of the Sophia Code. Okay, so the 7 different goddesses, the 7 different stones, and if someone comes to me, I ask them to please pick one of those stones, and it tells me the goddess or the energy they're going to be working with for that specific healing.
Right. And so these goddesses of the Sophia code, are those related to shamanism, Peruvian shamanism, or is that just like a...
It's just part of my story.
Okay.
So, you know, if another shaman opens their mesa, it's going to tell a different story. It's part of my path.
Yeah.
Before I got into shamanism, I had an immense awakening and got guided right away to psychic mediumship. I got into a car accident and was saved by an angel. Cool. So the first work I was doing was angelic work. And I spent a couple of years in that before I took the plunge into the earth medicine of shamanism.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
I was in a pretty bad car accident, and at the time I was newly awakened. I was in an SUV and the car flipped.
Oh.
It was pretty bad. But in that instance, I went unconscious and had a very strong vision of an angel coming in through the window and guiding me out, telling me that I had to come this way, I had to do it this way. Interesting. Yeah, so when the ambulance came, they were amazed that I was outside of the vehicle. Yep. And funny enough, I healed the wounds I did incur, healed extremely quickly, and virtually walked away unscathed. So, damn. Yeah, it was a pretty profound experience in the beginning of my ascension. So working with the angels was first and foremost my training. When you start reading books on shamanism, you realize that the shamans are communicating with angelic beings. It's my opinion that we're connecting with the same energies. So yeah, I still work with the angels in everything I do. I couldn't do a fraction of the work without calling them in and working with them specifically.
Yeah, so that's a good point to touch on, like specifically for the shamanism, is that it wasn't really something different you were doing before. It's still, you know, higher forces are higher forces, and the whole point is to summon them forth to help you with whatever kind of work you're doing. So, so yeah. And something I forgot to mention that Sean brought up is that we met in a mediumship circle. We were both doing psychic practice, and that's why I know him in the first place. So, but that's a whole nother story. So we touched on the mogwai, the chumpy stones, and you said, I don't know if you specified that the number of points is congruent with, it's just numbers 1 through 7, right? You said? Yeah. Okay, so there's literally 1 point up through 7, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons dice, right?
There's also a process called the 7-stone illumination.
Ooh.
We end up doing that work for someone who's gone through a tremendous loss or a life change, midlife crisis with, let's say a divorce and a move, and we do that when things are really rough for that person. Doesn't happen often, but we'll do so when called to it. So those stones are used for for that healing modality as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so...
All right, do you want to do Bone Cube story?
Sure. That was an interesting story.
Show the camera.
Yeah, so this is a cube made out of bone, and how I acquired it was a very interesting story. I was helping a friend. This goes back to around the beginning of my awakening. She had a ex-boyfriend who had broken up with her and was living with her for over a year afterwards, bringing other people home. It was really bad. So her ex ended up moving out, and she wanted to completely energetically change her living space. So I did a clearing for her, and I agreed to help her paint her place to completely shift the energy. And so the day came when I agreed to come over. I'd gotten out of work at that time and was completely exhausted and really couldn't find the energy to get up, knowing that I'd be going to her house to do this whole thing. But I did realize the importance of it. So I got up, was running later than I said I would be, and ended up locking myself out of my house. So I did.
At 11 p.m., right?
It was late. It was late. It was 9:10. I told her I'd be there at 9, specifically. So I leave the house. I help her out. I come back probably around 11:30, 12, and realized that I locked myself out. I didn't realize till then. So it came to me that I left my key, an extra key, around the back of the place I was living. And it was interesting. There was a porch out of the back door with 13 steps leading down. And so when I came around, it was extremely dark out. I come around to get the key, and I see this thing on the first step of the 13th steps, but it was glowing green. So as I'm walking towards it, I'm noticing it, like, what is that? When I got closer and picked it up, I realized that it was an exact cube made out of bone.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty exact. That's sketchy. We should have this like mineral tested to see like what kind of animal.
I thought about it.
Like what if it's like a woolly mammoth or something?
It could
crazy.
Be. It could
Stegosaurus.
So I immediately started doing research on cubism and the energetics of cubes, and realized a whole lot. This was actually the day before Easter, and I spent all night doing research. Through my research, I came to the conclusion that it was a building block. This was the first step, and that service was of great importance. So after doing more research, it led me into sacred geometry, into what is known as Metatron's cube.
We've got it right here.
Yeah, there it is.
Ladies and gents, this was part of a necklace, and the necklace part got missing, so now I just have a medallion. But anyway, yeah, Metatron's cube.
So, funny story with that is I had saved a tattoo idea before I was actually awake and aware of anything sacred geometry. I knew I was supposed to get that tattoo, and so I had saved it. And so as I'm doing this research, it's popping up, and I make the connection that this is the exact sacred geometrical symbol I had saved to get tattooed on my body. And it was just like, phew. And I started working with Metatron and all that entails in working with him, and I could go on story after story.
Yeah, I got to hear that sometime with the more details about that, for sure. And you got the tattoo on your kneecap, right?
On my leg.
Okay.
Now, I've since added quite a few geometrical tattoos to that leg.
That's funny.
But it was my first, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah. Yeah, so that's the first item that he found magically, right? This was literally the first one that appeared in that kind of weird way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
The initiation cube, all right.
Yeah. And then, actually what comes to mind is this stone here.
This one's fascinating, folks.
Yep. So
now, what is that? Oh, you think it's some kind of agate?
yeah, it looks
right?
like agate to me. And so very quickly, I was sitting out on that same porch I had mentioned before, and a tree started growing out of the cement. And the way it was like the cement, and here's the house. And I had sat out on this porch pretty much every day. I look down and I see this tree growing that's about this tall, and I'm like, where did this come from?
Magic tree.
I let it be, and I came back the next day, and it was doubly as tall. So I said, this is trying to tell me something. and I went down to explore. And as I'm looking into the corner of where the cement meets the house, I see this stone or crystal sticking out of the root system. And so I feel very guided to it. I start digging a little bit and end up pulling this out. So when
because you said some of it wasn't even showing, right? It was literally just under the earth.
It was under
the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. It was really hard to get out. Strange. But I knew I was supposed to have it. So every stone means something. So if someone picks the bone cube, for instance, that's telling me a lot about where they are on their spiritual journey. If someone picks this, it represents growth. So growth holds a certain energy and tells me a lot about maybe another stone they pick along with that, or tell me, that they're going through a really strong processing, and so that needs to be worked with in a certain way. So that's just 2 of them. All of these are medicine stones, and they've all been attuned to certain healings that I needed to work through to get to where I am today. So when someone's picking from the stones, it's telling me what's going on with them or a problem that they need to work with.
Okay. Yeah, so there's 2 things I want to get to. I also want to... So first of all, I want to touch on whatever the other more interesting stones that have like cool backstories are. But also first, let's talk about the 4 directions here. We have 3 stones in each of the 4 directions. So what's the story behind these rocks, and like how do you interpret them for divination?
So there's the 4 directions, the 4 archetypes, and each archetype has a perceptual state. So each time someone picks a stone, it's telling me a little bit about all of that. And then between my intuitive guidance coming in and the stone, we're building a bridge to help figure out how we can help this person to the best and possible
extent.
Yeah.
So like what if they, pick the south or something, or the east?
So it's said that the south and the west are the healing stones, but the north and the east also hold certain vibrations and can be used as healing stones. They're more used for divination, but I myself and others do use these stones in healing. For the east, for example, you have the condor stone, the serpent stone, and the hummingbird stone.
Okay.
And they're all perceptual states. So say someone comes to you with a problem and they end up picking one of these stones, it's telling me that they need to look at the situation differently from the eyes of a serpent, which is very 3D and grounded, or maybe the eyes of a condor or an eagle, where they have to look at the big picture. And then the north stones, to me, I was going through a process where I was working with different energies. So the angels, the ascended masters, and the goddesses. And all of these stones have different meanings as well. So when someone, for instance, this stone is from Egypt. It's my goddess stone. So if someone picks that stone, it's telling me that there might be some shadow work involved. That's where the person I'm working on can't see what it is they need to. So I'm trying to tap in to that to figure it out for them.
Okay, so the East has like these animal archetypes. These are kind of higher deities in the North. The goddesses, the angels, and ascended masters, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
So like this is Merlinite. So
perfect.
Working with Merlin, it holds a certain energy, and it will tell me a lot when a person picks that.
Interesting. Now, is anything interesting going on with these other ones? Are these also animal archetypes in the other 2 directions, or?
Yes, but on a different level. So we're picking all of these stones from sacred places. Usually always these stones show themselves to you.
Okay.
Usually in a sacred spot or while doing the medicine work, while you're going through the medicine wheel. You're going to sacred spots, you're doing certain work, and these stones present themselves to you in that way. So south stones mean something to me when someone pulls them. West stones mean something to me. They all have multiple meanings. So if they pick a stone, I'm navigating what it is with my own intuition to figure out what this person really needs to work on or to heal through, or sometimes just information that might come in for them.
Right. Because you said all these literally have some kind of backstory from when you were doing the 2-year medicine wheel sort of journey, right?
Yes.
They all appeared during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you'd be like meditating by a brook, and then like this one would just like stand out to you somehow, right?
Not as much with these actual medicine stones.
Yeah.
It's not like the bone cube or the
the
magical growth
tree crystal.
But you're on a journey to look for your stone, and it's going to appear to you. So I would say that's how I would put it, is like you're looking for a stone, and which one is calling to you in those situations. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like are you doing like a meditation, or are you just kind of meditatively exploring nature at these times?
Yeah, just meditatively exploring nature. Okay. So, you're connecting to the land. Shamanism is earth-based medicine.
Yeah.
So when I was doing the angelic work before any of this, I was in a blissful state nearly all the time.
Sounds good.
And so shamanism was offered to me over a year prior to when I actually agreed to take that step. But when I did, I instantly saw a vision of a hand coming up from the ground and pulling down a hand from the heavens. And it was grounding that blissful state in me in order to be a bridge for others to go out into the world in a grounded state and to teach and to do things that a normal human does. And shamanism also works on fear. So doing work that a lot of people don't want to touch because they're afraid of what consequences it might have. We're fearless warriors, and we're here to do big work.
Right, because you want to tackle, like you said with the Egyptian stone, you want to tackle shadow work. You also want to tackle weird energy things like are needed in house clearings, for example. Mm-hmm. And what are some other examples of kind of shadowy shamanic things?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the two major ones, to be honest. But.
House clearings can get really, really bad. Working with demonic stuff. Entity extractions.
Oh, right. Yeah. Extraction from the body.
Mm-hmm.
The body field.
I would say that is about as bad as it will ever get.
Yeah.
And depending on the situation, can be absolutely horrible to imagine any other healer going into that home and doing that. Or, there is the possibility of entity jumps from client to healer. So people who aren't trained correctly in how to take care of that, you see a lot of situations where someone's working on a client and they end up taking on that entity or energy, and that can really wreak havoc on your thought patterns and who you are and your life.
Yeah.
So that's the deeper, darker work that I actually look forward to. So and that's been a process, I will mention. Working through fear again is is a big part of this process. But you get there, and then you're ready to help others in this way, and the universe provides the people in your path. So
yeah, well, that's a good point. You kind of have to go through it yourself first in order to then help other people with it. So yeah, it's a good point to touch on.
Many people who are guided to the medicine wheel, I will say, also go through an initiation. There's a remembrance of doing this in past life work, in past lives. So it's not an easy process. It's not for everyone, and you have to go through that initiation to really get a good understanding of how the world works and emotions and energy. So not for everyone.
Right. You've got to be willing to let go of that blissful angel state and go through all of that. But it's for the sake of other people, so that's why we want to do it. Interesting. So there's two things that they said to me. I heard medicine wheel and chumpy stone. So I don't know if there's more to say about the chumpy stones. Is there more secrets to these?
Well, I mentioned the Munay key rites. So they are used in the gifting of rites. So rites are energetic transmissions, just like a Reiki attunement. There are 9 energetic rites of the Munay key. The Munay key is a condensed version of the medicine wheel. It's not that old. It was brought over, within the last 10 years. So the reason the teachings are being given in that way is they realize that a shift needs to happen in humanity. So not everyone can commit to a 2-year process and a whole lot of money. So the Munay key was created. So this is the 9 energetic rites that you do receive when going through the medicine wheel. But you can do these, I like to do them within a 3-month time span. So, and we can go into those rites a little bit. So there's the healer's rite, which opens you up to your own healing and the ability to heal others. So just like receiving Reiki. There is the seer's rite, which connects the third eye to the heart chakra and allows you to see from the eyes of your heart. It also allows you to speak from your heart and have more empathy and control. It creates a buffer to help you communicate with clients. There is the bands of power, or bands also known as the bands of protection. These are to help you transmute denser energies from your outside surroundings. There is the harmony rite, which the different archetypes are put into your chakras to align your chakras in harmony. There is the day keeper's rite and the wisdom keeper's rite. That's the feminine and masculine aspects of yourself. So that's working with the altar keepers, the ceremonialists, which is the feminine aspect, and the masculine wisdom keepers is working with the higher realms and the Apus, the mountain spirits.
Apu.
Apus.
Like from The Simpsons. Okay. So it's number 6, right?
Yeah.
Wisdom keepers.
Wisdom keepers. Then you have the earth keepers, which connects you to the earth in a way that shows you the benefits of doing the right thing and keeping the earth clean. And so it helps you to commune with Pachamama and the earth and the energies of the earth. Then you have the star keepers, which connects you to the stars. That's a higher perspective. It helps. It's also known as the new rite. Brings in a lot of new information to you, connects you to that higher realm as opposed to the earth realm, and brings in a lot of new teachings when you
Okay.
receive the rite. You can be ready for anything.
Nice. I like that.
The last rite is known as the Taitanchi rites, and that is opens you up to all possibilities. So you connect with the God brain and all of creation. So it's an even higher perspective and can really be helpful for opening up connections to all possibilities.
Okay.
So that's a brief synopsis of each one of the rites that are gifted. And actually, I'm going to be starting a class up in February or March. So you can keep an eye out for that if you're interested and want to learn more.
Now, can they? This has to be in person, right?
It
Probably.
It doesn't need to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It does
Okay.
not need to be. I see groups do it online. It's just as
Okay.
powerful. I specifically like working with people in person. I'm not big into internet transmissions, but I know they work. I know I could do them. So if you are interested, you could reach out and I could absolutely talk to you more about it.
Did you say it was coming up in February?
Yes.
Okay.
So it feels very much like end of February, beginning of March.
Okay.
The guides tell me.
Perfect. Preceding the season of change in spring. It's ideal. If you want to change your life before spring, get some Munay key rites. I'm probably going to do it myself. So
Nice. I'd love to have you.
yeah, because I've been planning on doing it for years, but like I told Sean at a different point, I couldn't find information on the Munay key for ages, or like who's providing these transmissions. So it's been like 6 or 7 years since I could find somebody. So it's perfect.
Nice. Sweet. I look forward
All right.
to it.
Is there anything else interesting about this array of items that you would like to share?
I mean, there's more to talk about, but for time's sake, each crystal means something. If you're coming to me for a healing, you're picking a stone, it's telling me something. That's actually a deer horn whistle.
No way.
Yeah, and so I use that in opening up sacred space.
Okay.
I have a compass here for
yes.
if I don't have my phone out in the woods. I have here what's called use this for entity extraction. It's a Vogel cut clear quartz crystal. So I'll just show you a quick preview of that.
That was an important one. And the Vogel crystal, that's specifically like what, a 49-degree angle or 51-degree? Now, that ran out of battery, actually, right? iPhone storage full. Yeah, wait, hit record again. Interesting. All right, we're cool. No, it's full. Mercury retrograde, ladies and gentlemen.
Rough.
Vogel crystal, go.
So you can see.
Entity extraction.
There you go. Recently cleared, so.
Yep. And the black bag has significance too for containing the energies after the fact, correct?
Exactly.
And then what is this item?
That's another crystal, not Vogel cut, but cut used for a different kind of attunement ceremony. I have a Vogel cut clear quartz, which I use for heart attunements. Okay.
Shazam.
So different crystals call to me during a healing, and so I use these for specific attunements, I would say, for these crystals specifically.
All right, cool. All right, yeah, so we touched on the 4 directions. We touched on the centerpiece here with the Mogwai and the Ouroboros serpent stone thing, and the Chumpy stones, the bone cube, deer whistle. And did these ones have a name, this set here? Are these just medicine stones in general?
This is actually a seed. So
Really?
Yep. So
Like a plant seed.
Yeah. Yep.
Holy
So if someone picks that, to me it means they need work on their heart chakra, but in a different way than if it's planting the seeds within their heart to grow their heart. So
cool.
yeah.
Right.
So there needs to be a certain amount of work done before that takes place, and that seed is picked. These stones came from different places. This is actually a Starkeeper stone. So when I received this stone, this is from Peru. It was gifted by my teacher. The same day I received this, I was reattuned to the Starkeeper's rite from a different shaman in Peru at the time. So what was coming through was that if someone picks this stone, it's telling me that there's a lot of new metaphysical information coming in for that person for their benefit.
Beautiful. Wait, so you went to Peru?
I haven't gone to Peru.
Oh, okay.
No, my teachers, I've journeyed to Peru from my couch, but I have not been.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta hear
you
about
can go
that.
anywhere from your couch.
That's funny. Moral of the story, guys: you can go anywhere from your couch if you learn astral travel. It is.
Yes, saved you a lot of money on airline tickets. Yeah, so that's about it for the breakdown. I can't really offer too much more information without
Going into the class
teaching
work,
you,
going into literal
teaching you
classes,
the whole process. But that's pretty detailed. So
yeah, it's a good overview.
Like I said, if someone else opens up their Mesa, it's going to tell a whole different story, and it's their story. So for me, the psychic mediumship, working with the angels, that was the basis for this Mesa, and I still do all of that work to this day, years later. So it's a part of me, it's a part of my healing process, and it can be a huge benefit to others. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to put this out there, that you have the ability to connect to this Mesa at any given time
Interesting.
in this video, and it will be sending you healing.
Cool.
So you just need to set your intention, connect to this specific Mesa, and just be open to receive.
Right on. Yeah, great convo. I think we touched on all the key points here. And so guys, if you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button. We're gonna link Sean's info below. And so that was a summary of the Mesa, the Peruvian shaman tool. So we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.